Well, good morning, everyone. And before I begin, Darius and Linda, I really want to thank you so much for inviting me to speak. This has been a very educational and inspiring weekend for me. I met so many of you, and I came in as a stranger, and I learned your stories. But more than anything else, I really got something out of it, and I get to take something away and take something back with me. So I want to thank you for teaching me. So thank you. Now, well, I want to talk to you about obesity. Obesity. It is a sign of a lot of things out of whack in our life. We spend billions of dollars on health care, from illnesses that stem directly from poor nutrition and lack of physical activity. Billions of dollars. Most people cannot even wrap their heads around that number. The growing rate of obesity in our children has made this no longer a personal matter. It affects us all. First Lady Michelle Obama, really, I'm so happy that she changed the conversation about childhood obesity with her Let's Move initiative. You know, that truly demonstrates that change can come on a national level. Well, to fight this obesity epidemic, I believe that change has to also start in our communities. I want to tell you about my community and where I come from. I was born and raised in Vicksburg, Mississippi. I come from a family of 13 brothers and sisters. That's a very big family. I'm a mother, I'm a grandmother, and I have been married to my husband Jim for 29 years. Now, my state, the state of Mississippi, we're known for our charm and hospitality. You may have heard me say, yes, ma'am, no, sir. We're also known for our Civil War stories. We're home to the blues, Elvis, and, of course, down-home soul food cooking. And like most of the South, our over-the-top obesity rates. But that's not all. You see, we're number one in poverty, number one in lack of physical activity, and our babies, many may not see their first birthday more so than any other state. We're also number one in infant mortality. Almost half of our children are either overweight or obese. If there is a hot zone for this obesity epidemic, I'm living in it. Now, you should know Mississippi is not alone. Right now, there are 13 other states that have joined that have obesity rates over 30%. Anyone in here from Colorado? There's a study, Colorado, our healthiest state, the best we have to offer. It is projected that its population will be over 45% obese by the year 2030. Now that's scary. How can that be? The best we have to offer, the healthiest state, would be over 45% obese. It seems like being less than healthy has become the new norm. When you live in an environment where everyone looks like you, your neighbors, your friends, your family, I truly believe that it is a tragedy because obesity is preventable, very much so. I also believe that our main enemy is not body fat, but it is lack of time, lack of money, lack of jobs, lack of self-confidence, lack of good role models, lack of education, lots of good information about nutrition and exercise, poverty, and a host of other things that keep us locked and an unhealthy lifestyle. People need to know what they're up against, and they need to know it in a language that they can understand. People want to do better, but they need help. Harriet Tubman once said, "If I could have convinced more slaves that they were slaves, I could have saved thousands more." Well, that's what I do. I go about and I raise awareness every chance I get, and I truly, truly want to prompt even more action. I want to tell you the story what led my town into losing 15,000 pounds. And of course, it was not me alone. Remember I told you I had 13 brothers and sisters? Well, I also got nieces, nephews, cousins, and my staff that works with me. There's two stories, actually. My sister, her name was Mary. She was obese when she passed away from brain cancer at the age of 54. It wasn't so much the obesity, it was the consequences of obesity. You see, her last words to me as she was dying, she said, "Linda, I wished I had lived my life more for myself." You see, things that maybe people with normal weight take for granted were struggles for her, such as finding a comfortable seat, finding clothes that fit, being able to go to a gym, find a good paying job, or even being able to fly on a plane to see distant relatives. These were struggles for her. So 6 months after her death, I opened up a gym called Shape Up Sisters for women like her who suffer depression, low self-esteem, and because no woman should take to her grave the regret my sister took to hers. Well, the women in my gym, I really opened it up for African American women, but I had a rainbow coalition of women from all races. And they came and they had conversation because I wanted to make it a social environment. They had conversations, they shared ideas. Some of them met their best friends there. Some of them that did not have a social life had a social life. It was truly a good environment, and they were losing weight. Well, they would say things to me like, "Linda, I wish my husband would get off the couch." Or, "Linda, my 12-year-old daughter is twice her normal weight. Can she come in and work out with me?" Well, this led me to think obesity, it affects more than just women. It was crippling the very foundation of our families. And then on my desk came the statistics for the state of Mississippi. Number one in poverty, not just for that 1 year, but for 5 consecutive years. Number one in poverty. Number one in lack of physical activity. I said to myself, it is not okay to be where we are. Enough is enough. What do I do? Well, I went through 3 months of planning. I know that in order to get a community on board, it will take the leaders of that community. So I went first to our elected officials who took an oath to serve and protect our community. I went to the hospitals. I went to the churches. I went to the schools. I went to the restaurants. I went to other gyms. The hospitals, they agreed to do health screenings, blood pressure checks, cholesterol checks, diabetes checks, all the health screenings that people need to know where they are and what they're up against. Walmart, which was lovely. I really liked them. They decided to be a weigh-in station for me. The restaurants, they helped. They decided to offer a healthy item on their menu. Gyms agreed to be open for 1 day a week so that the residents can come in and work out. Everyone joined in. And then I issued that challenge to the community. And the challenge was this: to lose 17,000 pounds in 17 weeks. I thought it wasn't much if you added up the numbers the way I did. We needed to first stop the weight gain and then only lose a half a pound. I thought that's doable. It's a small obtainable goal, but also it's enough time for us to learn a new habit. So we had a big grand opening, and over 600 people showed up for that grand opening, proving to me that people want to do better, but they need help. Well, I went out into the community and the churches, and we exercised, and we had nutrition workshops. We also had mental health come in and talk to people. We did everything that we could. In 17 weeks, we did not reach our goal. And I was quite disappointed. I did not anticipate the holidays. You know, the holidays are a wonderful time of the year. And people are not really thinking about eating and exercising. It's about shopping and family and coming together, going away, and, of course, football and more football. Okay, so but I was disappointed that I gave all of the exercise classes at the churches, the community centers, and not as many came as what I expected. But I was not disheartened. You see, I understand I had a motivating purpose. I had a desire and I had faith, and no was not an answer. So I continued on. What could everybody do? Walk. Number one exercise in the world and the most popular. All you need is a pair of good tennis shoes and motivation. So the walking club. I went out, and many people where I come from, they had not really seen the river where we live. So we walked along the river. We walked our brick-lined streets where people had not been in neighborhoods with beautiful trees. So what we did, we also lifted up the civic pride so that people would have a sense of how beautiful our community was. And then more than anything else, I wanted to get the underserved communities. You see, these are the people who make up the numbers, are in the underserved communities. So I went to those neighborhoods. In those neighborhoods, it was actually like a perfect apple pie in the sky neighborhood. People sat on their porches. They were in their lawns, and the kids ran back and forth, and neighbors visited one another until you listened to their stories. Lack of time, lack of jobs, lack of money, lack of education. So me talking about eating healthy and you need to exercise, that was on a long list at the bottom. I tell you, there was one lady, her story really touched me because her little 2-year-old son ran around in the yard there, and she sat in this lawn chair that looked like it was going to collapse underneath her. So she saw us approaching, and she was apprehensive. So she said and yelled at us like, "What y'all want?" So my volunteer handed her a flyer about a nutrition and fitness class that we were having for 6 weeks. And she took that flyer, looked at it, and said, "Who's it for? Why are you doing it? How much does it cost? Do I need it?" All of these were very credible questions, but I could see her wrestling with the fact, just that idea that this was something specifically designed for her. But she couldn't see why anyone would see value in her. You see, she didn't see value in herself. But I knew that this lady could change. You see, I was there once too. You see, I was pregnant at age 14, been on welfare, lived in the same neighborhood that she did. So I knew that she could change, and I knew that if I keep being persistent and keep coming back to that neighborhood, she will get that message. I didn't know if I would see that lady again. We started our 6 weeks program there at what we call the Federal Housing Authority, and she walked in with her little son in tow, still apprehensive, still doubtful, but she showed up. She showed up because we didn't give up. And so what this leads me to know is that the underserved community is exactly what it is, underserved. I know that there are limits to what a doctor can do. There are limits to what the government can do. But the role that a community, a doctor, and the government can play is endless. We all have a fight in this. Obesity is preventable. We all need to be role models and help each other. And I say to you, if you are where you want to be, help someone else who's not. It does affect us all, whether we know it or not. I've heard so many wonderful, wonderful stories here about great causes and great purposes that everyone is involved in. And I found many connections with many of you that spoke on how what you do can actually help what I do, and what I do could possibly help what you do. We all can connect in some way to make this world a better place. I say to you that I hope so much that you have been inspired from this weekend as I have, because we all are the change that's needed to become someone's role model, to become someone's hero. But more important than that, it truly feels good when we do good. Thank you so much.